praise for His amazing love. Amen. But as we continue our messages today, looking at the life of Saul, something I want you to get out of all this entire message. I tried to hit the point home, the very first message when we talked about set up for success. I want you to understand that God set Saul up for success. And He does the same thing for us. He does. And remember, I showed you with Saul, God gave us He did three things in the life of Saul as He was calling him to be the king, which showed that He was setting him up for success. One, like I said, and you understand, God wanted Saul to be successful. Yeah, I sort of brought this question. I know God knows all things. And yes, God knew that what Saul was going to do. But yet, that does not change the point that God set him up to be successful. It was up to Saul to decide whether or not if he wanted to follow God, pursue God, or whatever. God initially set him up for success. And these were the three things we looked at 2 weeks ago. First, that when Saul was anointed, the Spirit of the Lord comes upon him in power. All of a sudden, something happens to him. The one portion where he began to prophesy with the prophets. And that's where the proverb began. Is Saul also a prophet? Can anybody become a prophet? And the question that answer is yes, as long as you keep your eyes upon the Lord. As long as the Spirit of the Lord, God calls anyone to be a prophet. But power comes upon him when he's anointed because the Spirit of the Lord comes upon him. Second, he is transformed. It literally tells us that God gave him a new heart. He becomes a new person. God literally changed his heart that day. He says what? He says, all these things were fulfilled that Samuel spoke to him. And what? God gave him a new heart. And third, Samuel tells Saul, whatever job you're given to do it. God is with you. So the man of God declares to this future king, he declares to this newly anointed king that God is with you. So don't worry about what obstacle may be in your way. Why? Because God is with you. And I'm here to tell you today, don't worry about what obstacles in your way. Go and do it because God is with you. Why? Because of all of this. He did this for Saul, and He also does this for us. We cry. You've heard me talk about it. When we become, Paul says that those who are in Christ, what? We become a new creation. The old life is gone and a new life has begun. So God gives us, He makes us a new person. He gives us a new heart. When the Spirit of the Lord comes upon us, we're endued with power. You will be with power after the Holy Spirit comes upon you. And you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and to the uttermost parts of the world. God declares this. The Bible declares this. Even about the New Testament church. And declares that God is with us. Jesus Himself said what? I will never leave you nor forsake you, but I'll be with you to the end of the age. So all these things that God did for Saul, God also made available for you and for me. God, and that's what I want you to understand through all of this. God is setting us up for success. God set Saul up for success. And I truly believe that God has placed Saul upon my heart because there are some lessons we need to learn from Saul. Because once we're done dealing with Saul, we're going to jump into the guy after him. The guy after him is my namesake. I love his story. He was not perfect, which I don't want to get ahead of myself. We'll get there. But this is the man. I want you to say, this is the man that God chose first to rule His people Israel. When Israel decided they wanted a king, Samuel didn't choose this guy. You see, that's something you need to understand. God chose this man. Remember, if we jump back to the first message, Samuel's there in the village that he's in, and all of a sudden Saul shows up. And the way that the New Living Translation puts it, that when God speaks to him, He says, this is the man I told you about yesterday. There's an exclamation point. So it's like God was excited. He was really proclaiming to Samuel who Saul was. And the potential that he saw in Saul. Don't you think a lot of times that maybe what even Jesus, our Savior, is doing in heaven? He's saying, look, Father, just look at the potential they can have, if all honesty, if the light bulb goes off in their head. God sets us up for success. I'm not talking worldly prosperity, so do not misunderstand me this morning. I'm not talking about if you tithe the right amount, all of a sudden you're going to $1 million home. That's not what I'm not saying that. But I'm saying God's favor and God's blessing will be upon your life. And good will come. Because we also know that Paul wrote in Romans 8:28, says, we know that all things work together for the good of them that love God and are the called according to His purpose. God's able to take anything and turn it around for good. God sets us up for success. The question is, and we'll get into this a little later on, I'm going to rephrase it a little bit differently later on. But the question is, do we keep our eyes upon Him? Do we trust Him? God put all the things in place for Saul to be the greatest king that Israel would ever experience. He set the groundwork. He laid it. He laid the foundation for that. And He does that for us too. So that's what we discovered 2 weeks ago. And last week, our thought was the squandered success. How Saul began to get a little too big for his britches. Begin to think a little bit too much of himself. And how he began to insert I in places instead of just staying obedient and listening to God. And we begin to see that the path he started to go down. Which, you know, when I read this, like I was saying earlier, it breaks my heart. Because again, God wanted Saul to be successful. He wasn't setting him up for ruin. God set him up to be successful. But Saul was the one who started to get a big head. Saul was the one who started to worry more about the prestige of being the king, the arrogance of who he is, instead of keeping our eyes upon God. And like I said, many times when we read the Bible, we sort of forget about the amount of time that may have passed. So I was doing some research and I said, well, let me see, really from X point in time till now, what amount of time has passed? And today I'm going to show you what we're going to be looking at today. Roughly, they figure about 27 years. Between 22 to 27 years has passed since Saul's been king. As we get ready to dive into what we're going to be dealing with today. So quite a bit of time has passed. He's been king for a while. But you know, even though Saul began to squander his success, and even though God last week declared, because you were disobedient, because you did this foolish thing, now your kingdom, your dynasty must end. You would think, being a human being, that something should have clicked in his brain. Said, oh, I better change something up. But again, let's sort of see what happens. But even though that was going on, even though God said that, today we're going to look at a situation where God gives Saul another chance to be obedient and to once again align his heart with the heart of God. God gives Saul an opportunity to truly show that he will be obedient to the Lord. But I find this to probably be one of the... This is probably, when we're dealing with Saul here, this is probably the most common situation that happens in the majority of the lives of every single person that is on this planet. Did you hear me? What we're going to look at this morning is a situation that I'm pretty safe in saying that every single person on the face of this planet will face this or has gone through it. Even Christians. And I'll try to remember to explain it a little bit more fully a little bit later on, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. And I titled this message today, it was just had 2 words behind me, but there's something sort of going on with it. I said, the tragic story of lost success. He loses the setup that God gave him. Because as we go back to each one, we begin to really look at the story of Saul. Again, God set him up to be successful. But because of Saul's foolishness, because of Saul's arrogance, he walks away from it. And then God takes it. To where, as far as I can remember in Scripture, never to offer it to him again. Let's look at this story here. In 1 Samuel 15, verses 1 through 3. It says, "One day Samuel said to Saul, I anointed you king of Israel because the Lord told me to. Now listen to this message from the Lord. This is what the Lord Almighty says. I have decided to settle accounts with the nation of Amalek for opposing Israel when they came from Egypt." Now, again, I'm getting ready to read you something that may be very shocking to you. But I want you to now listen to what God says here. "Now go and completely destroy the entire Amalekite nation. Men, women, children, babies, cattle, sheep, camels, donkeys." Well, what's God saying? He's basically saying, wipe them from the face of the earth. I don't want any living being of that nation alive or anything that they own to remain. I want you to annihilate them. Now, when I say that, does that sound like the type of God that we always hear about in the Bible? But you know what? This is the God we hear about in the Bible. He says completely annihilate them. See, in Exodus chapter 17, verses 8 through 16, we read how the Amalekites laid in wait to ambush Israel and tried to destroy her. Because Amalek did this, the Lord promised to Moses in verse 14 that I will utterly put the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. So here is this command to Saul. God is going to fulfill his promise. And he's going to make it come true by having Israel utterly destroy Amalek at this time. So this is the decree that is issued to Saul. So we continue to read what is going on here. It says, starting in verse 4, it says, "So Saul mobilized his army at Telaim. There were 200,000 troops in addition to 10,000 men from Judah. Then Saul went to the city of Amalek and laid in wait in the valley. Saul sent this message to the Kenites, move away from where the Amalekites live, or else you will die with them. For you were kind to the people of Israel when they came up from Egypt. So the Kenites packed up and left. Then Saul slaughtered the Amalekites from Haleva all the way to Shur, east of Egypt." So King Saul, he did what was right. He gathered the men of war, as we read here. He went to the place where the battle was supposed to take place, and he prepared for battle. He showed kindness to the Kenites by allowing them to escape. Why? Because they showed kindness to Israel. He allowed them to escape the destruction that was coming. He battled the enemy and destroyed them. But you notice it said, I call this the tragic story of lost success. So what happens? What happens? Verses 8 and 9 says, "And then he captured Agag, the Amalekite king. He completely destroyed everyone else. Saul and his men spared Agag's life and kept the best of the sheep, cattle, and fatted calves, everything, in fact, that appealed to them. They destroyed only what was worthless or of poor quality." And that's precisely it. That is where he went wrong. That is where you would think, what's the big deal? He left one person. He spared one person's life. See, he didn't utterly destroy everything that the Lord told him to. See, because it says, if you really look what it says there in verse 9, after everything, it says, in fact, everything, in fact, that appealed to them. In other words, God gave the message, wipe it all out. And all of a sudden, as they begin to do the work of the Lord, they begin to notice, oh man, this could be used for such and such. This could be used for such and such. This here, oh look how, oh, it'd be such a shame to get rid of this nice thing here. So what we'll do, because later on we'll get there, what we'll do is, let's dedicate it to the Lord. Oh, I feel so spiritual now. But everything that appealed to them, they only destroyed what was worthless or of poor quality. And then we read in verses 10 and 11. There's a lot we need to read in this chapter, and I'm almost sort of just do some things as we go along. Then the Lord said to Samuel, I am very sorry that I ever made Saul king. For he has not been loyal to me. In other words, what? His heart has not followed my heart. He has not been loyal to me and has again refused to obey me. Samuel was so deeply moved when he heard this that he cried out to the Lord all night. I want you to understand this. This is the man who's replacing Samuel. So again, Samuel wants him to be what? Successful. God set him up to be successful. And it says Samuel cried out. I could see Samuel all night saying, Lord, just be patient. Just be patient. Just be patient. Lord, just be patient with him. And I guess Samuel saying, God, maybe it's not as bad as you're saying it is. Maybe, it can't be that bad. Because he cries out, the Bible says he cries out all night to the Lord. See, I want you to understand something. God did not make a mistake anointing Saul. God gave him everything necessary to be the greatest king that Israel ever knew. It was Saul who refused to be the greatest king that Israel ever knew. It was Saul who refused to listen to the Word of God. None of this blame can be laid at the foot of God. Let me tell you something. In your life, none of the blame that goes on in your life can be laid at the foot of God. No tragedy that comes your way can be laid at His feet. Because He gives you the ability to overcome it through the power that's in Jesus Christ. Whether or not you choose to do that or not is up to you. So I want to make it very clear. God did not make a mistake. So we go on further in the story. And it says, and early the next morning Samuel went to find Saul. So now he's going to look for him. Someone told him. Saul went to Carmel to set up a monument to himself. Then he went on to Gilgal. When Samuel finally found him, Saul greeted him cheerfully. May the Lord bless you, he said. I have carried out the Lord's command. Saul comes out, man. Think about it, in his mind, he's wiped out everybody. He's wiped them out. Because surely what God was really talking about were those evil people, not the evil things. He was talking about the evil people. Wiping them, and he says, I took care of that. I wiped out evil people. I've done the will of the Lord. I've been obedient. He's coming out like in triumph. Like I can see later. He hears people say, oh man, here's the prophet Samuel. I can hear it get to Saul's ears. And I can see him coming out of his tent saying, welcome, basically saying, welcome thou blessed servant of the Most High God. followed your words. But before I get any further, because I want to remember to say this, so I want to make sure I say this. Where do we know, honestly, that Saul went wrong? It's right here. What does it say? Saul went to Carmel to set up a monument to the Lord?
No.
Himself.
In other words, he's saying, guys, we had a victory. No, don't praise me. No, don't clap your hands. See what I'm doing? No, don't clap your hands. Oh, hold back the applause. But all the while, what's he doing? Come on, bring it on. Bring it on. Oh, gee, oh yeah, 4. You know, yeah, no, but yeah, come on, no. Oh no, yeah. Because instead of him after the battle going to the place where he should have been, where the tabernacle was in Gilgal, where the worship of the Lord was to take place, he goes to Carmel, which is a mountain, which is a place that is raised up to where he can put a monument so what? Everyone can see. Let's be honest. How many of us have been there? We want the... Oh, no, please, no. Oh, no. And he comes out. May the Lord bless you. And if he could have done a little, whatever, just let your mind go whole while with this. Because I'm telling you, he put on the show. When he came out to declare to Samuel that he has been obedient, he put on a show. I'm telling you. If he could have done it, he said, oh yeah, whatever. It looked a whole lot better up here than it came out, okay? I always tell you about the dance in my mind, didn't I? I said, if you saw how I dance in my mind, you'd pass out. You'd say, oh man, he's good. The only problem is his body don't let him come out. So what was Samuel's response? I love this. Then what is all this bleating of sheep and lowing of cows I hear? Samuel demanded. I can see Saul coming out going. And all of a sudden he hears he's going. Sort of, didn't you hear what I just told you? I did it. And Samuel said, what is all this? What is all this bleating of sheep and the lowing of cattle I hear? Samuel demanded. And listen to this. It's true. Now, here's Saul for you. He's now become a good politician. He's now become a true representative of the true human race. So what does he say? It is true that the army, not me, the army spared the best of the sheep and cattle, Saul admitted, but they are going to Sam, you understand? Oh, I feel Jesus. Well, he would have said that. I feel the Lord. I feel the Lord, Sam. They were going to sacrifice them to the Lord your God. But you notice, he didn't say, it's true that we spared the best. No, they spared the best. They did it. But they were going to sacrifice, Lord, your God, and we destroyed everything else. Oh, Lord. When Samuel gets there, like I said, he's pleading out before God all night long. Like I said, I know I added a ton of stuff to him, saying, Lord, it surely can't be as bad as you're saying it. Well, sure, no. Now, Samuel has to go searching for him because, first of all, Saul's not where he's supposed to be. Because he's too busy himself. Where Samuel then he finally finds him where he's supposed to be. He comes out like, and when Samuel sees what he sees, he's saying, oh man. To coin the phrase from a 70s sitcom, I've been using a lot of the last little while lately. Samuel looked at Saul and says to Saul what Arnold says to Willis. What you talking about, Willis? What you talking about? You know, when he says, I did this, what you talking about? Oh, no, you didn't. Oh, no, you didn't. You know. I know I'm making it a little humorous. But it truly is one of the most tragic stories in the Bible. Because all the while, Saul said, I did it. We did it. We were obedient. Then he goes on and tells in 16 through 23, it says, and then Samuel said to Saul, stop. Basically says, stop! Basically, shut up! Listen to what the Lord told me last night. What is it? Saul asked. And Samuel told him, although you may think little of yourself, in other words, he's saying, maybe you think a little of your anointing. Maybe you think little of the heart that God's given you. Maybe you think that maybe you're not going to amount to anything. But the thing is, it's not about what we think about ourselves. It's what God has declared over us. It's what God has set us up for. That's why from the outside, when you're saying, God has set us up for success. Although you may think little of yourself. Are you not the leader of the tribes of Israel? The Lord has anointed you king of Israel. And the Lord sent you on a mission and told you to completely destroy the sinners, the Amalekites, until they are all dead. Why haven't you obeyed the Lord? Why did you rush for the plunder and do exactly what the Lord said not to do? And this is where I say what every single one of us falls into. This is what Saul replies. He says, but I did obey the Lord, Saul insisted. But I did obey the Lord, Saul insisted. I carried out the mission he gave me. I brought back King Agag, but I destroyed everyone else. Oh. Why did he bring back Agag? Anybody tell me? Why did he bring back Agag? Why do you think he brought back Agag? See what I do? Oh, no. See what the Lord accomplished? Oh, no, not me. He wanted this little trophy. He wanted to parade around his little prize. Look what I did. See, this king, he's subservient to me. How obedient do you have to be obedient? You remember I told you this before. How true does something have to be to make it true?
100%.
How true does something have to be to make it true? How many percent? How many percent does it have to be to make something true? What percentage does it have to be to make something true? Does that ever change? The truth has to listen to me. The truth has to always be 100%. Or else, guess what? It's not true. So again, you know, if you're in school now, or I know we're out because of that, but there were some teenagers here this morning who were still in school. I mean, when next year rolls around, I always try to tell you, if you know, when you do a true/false thing on a test, you know, and you say, well, it could be true, but it could. Well, as soon as you read that, as soon as that enters your mind, you know what you need to mark down? It's false. Because for something to be true, every single thing about it must be true. Or else, otherwise, it's false. How much of the truth does it have, how much lack of the truth does it have to be false? Any amount that's not 100%. So false has a whole lot more leeway of being false than true does of being true. The truth is the truth is the truth always, in all situations, in all circumstances, at all times, for all people. The truth never changes. Truth is not relative. If it's relative, then it's false. Because the truth can only be the truth if it's true 100% of the time in every single situation, circumstance, people, group, whatever. And it's this. I did it. I destroyed everyone else. He says, but then my troops, again, but then, see, but even that, instead of saying the troops, he says what? My troops. Not the Lord's. I mean, this is the Lord's nation. Israel is the Lord's nation. They're the Lord's people. But then my troops brought the best of the sheep and cattle and plundered the sacrifice to the Lord your God in Gilgal. And I'll tell you something that bothers me all about this entire time that I'm reading this. He's constantly referring to God as what? Your God. Never once, read about it. Never once does he say, my God. God changed his heart. God set him up for success. But when Saul began getting away, Saul got away himself, and he never once, in this entire thing we're reading, says, my God. He says, your God. We've come to offer sacrifice to the Lord at Gilgal. That's how we know. That's where we're supposed to be in the first place. Not at Carmel, but in Gilgal. The place where sacrifices were made. The place where offerings were made. But he didn't go there first. But Samuel replied, what is more pleasing to the Lord? Remember, we began to end the message on this last week. What is more pleasing to the Lord? Your burnt offerings and sacrifices, or your obedience to his voice? Obedience is far better than sacrifice. Listening to him is much better than the offering of the fat of rams. Rebellion is as bad as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as bad as worshiping idols. So because you have rejected the word of the Lord, he has rejected you from being king. Hence, what I said. Lost success. But again, you would think as soon as Samuel uttered these words and Saul realized the declaration that God has made over him, you would think Saul would be devastated. Saul would say, no, don't let that be. No, don't let that be. He goes on and says, and then Saul finally admitted, yes, I have sinned. I have disobeyed your instruction in the Lord's command. Now listen to this. For I was afraid of the people. This is the same dude who earlier, in another portion of Scripture said, he's out there, he finds out what's going on in his nation. He gets the true righteous anger he should have as a king about injustice. He cuts up his oxen and sends it out to the 12 tribes. And he says, so will Saul do to your oxen if you don't come and join me in battle. Does that sound like somebody's afraid of the people? Does that sound like somebody's afraid of the people?
No.
I mean, he was outnumbered then too. But you know what they did? They mustered the army up, 300,000 of them came to him. And he went and fought the war. And he won. And now after he's ruling for this many years, he has established himself as king. They followed him into this battle. And now he's saying, for I was afraid of the people and did what they demanded. He was passing the buck. He was passing the blame. And he says, oh, please forgive my sin now. And no, listen to me. Oh, please forgive my sin now and go with me to worship the Lord. But Samuel replied, I will not return with you. Since you have rejected the Lord's command, he has rejected you from being king over Israel. And I think Samuel's trying to say, Saul, don't you understand what I'm telling you? Hasn't it got through your head yet? God's rejected you. God's rejected you. And all you're worried about is this? And as Samuel turned to go, Saul grabbed at him and tried to hold him back and tore his robe. And Samuel said to him, see, the Lord has torn the kingdom of Israel from you today and has given it to someone else, one who is better than you. And he who is the Lord of Israel will not lie, nor will he change his mind, for he is not a human that he should change his mind. Then Saul pleaded again, I know I have sinned. But honestly, he wasn't worried about that. Because listen to what he said. But please, at least honor me before the elders, before the leaders, and before my people. By going with me to worship the Lord, your God. So Samuel finally agreed and went with him, and Saul worshiped the Lord. But I just want to say, what good did it do? Nothing. Basically, Saul got an argument with Samuel about obedience. And as we know, Saul was not obedient. He refused to listen. He literally gave back what God offered him. He gave it back. Because either what the Word says is true or it's not. And we read early in this account of Samuel that it said that Saul's heart, God made him a new person that day. He gave him a new heart. So either God gave him a new heart or he did not give him a new heart. So which one did he give him a new heart or didn't he? Was the Bible mistaken in what it said? But even us, too many times we want to argue, but also when we know that we were disobedient, we want to argue with God. Well, at least this. No. Remember, we talked about the perfect will, real briefly, the perfect will, the permissive will, and then no will at all, just doing your own thing. What did I say about the permissive will? Even though God may allow it, it's still what? It's still disobedience. The permissive will is still disobedience because you're not walking according to God's will. And unfortunately, too many believers, or too many so-called believers, are trying to live on the straddled fence instead of staying obedient to Him. Instead of pursuing His heart with everything within their heart. They want to see how close they can be like the world and still make heaven their home. All I'd say is that's a dangerous road to attempt. You need to learn from the lesson of Saul. But Pastor, that was before grace. Now you understand, the Old Testament's filled with a lot of grace. Because again, what's the Bible say about it? If any man be in Christ, and be in Christ is a new creation, the old life is gone, new life has begun. And we did read about Saul, that God gave him a new heart. He changed his heart. God changed. So I'm going to close. Musicians, you can hear this. Listen, Saul wasn't so much worried about really worshiping the Lord as it was about just trying to put on the big dog in the show. His worship and his praise was meaningless. It was all about him, retaining honor in front of his people, in front of the people. It wasn't really about repenting to God. Because again, we're put on a picture. But just, I don't have this up there, but just let you know, the guy, the King Agag, you know what happened to him? He died. Samuel has him brought out. And Agag's thinking, well, all the wrath is gone. He's destroyed us, he spared me, so I guess I'm okay. It says Samuel killed him before the Lord. So all they do is the Samuel took care of it. But the question I asked at the close of the service last week, I'm going to ask again today. Well, Pastor, what does this have to do with me? All throughout this message, I've been trying to tell you. It's essential that we keep our eyes upon the Lord. It's essential that we make sure our heart is pursuing His heart. And as Samuel asked Saul, I'm going to ask that question again today. How important is obedience? We ended the service with this portion of Scripture in the New Testament last week. And I want to end with it again this morning. In Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 through 23, it says, this is Jesus speaking. Not all people who sound religious are really God. They may refer to me as Lord, but they still won't enter the kingdom of heaven. The decisive issue is whether they have obeyed my Father in heaven. Now listen. On Judgment Day, many will tell me, Lord, Lord, prophesied in your name, and cast out demons in your name, and performed many miracles in your name. Remember I shared this last week? When you hear that, you think, surely this is someone who knows the Lord because of all these signs and wonders that are done in their life, right? I mean, hey, they prophesied. With prophecy there, it's just really, prophecy just simply means declaring the word of the Lord. They declared His word. I mean, could be talking about some future events, but prophecy in the basic definition of what it is the declared word of God. And cast out demons. We did it in your name. We performed many miracles in your name. But I will reply, I never knew you. Go away. The things that you did were unauthorized. How's that possible? How's that possible? It goes back to what Jesus said in verse 28, at the last part of it. The decisive issue is whether they obey my Father in heaven. Listen to me, church. It's about a wholehearted pursuit of Him. And I know what I'm saying. It's not easy. Okay, I'm not saying it's easy. Because as we begin, next week we're gonna finish up with Saul. Then I'm gonna dive into the life of David. And as you'll find out, as we dive into the life of David, you'll find out. You look at the life of Joseph, not Joseph, the stepfather of Jesus, but Joseph, the one who became the second highest person in Egypt. To get where they were going was not easy. But something they did down the entire road that they were going down was they kept their heart pursuing the heart of God. They kept their eyes on the Lord. And that's where Saul miserably messed up. He got his eyes off what God called him to be. And got him on himself. He got his eyes off the Lord. And began to sort of go through the motions. Let's be honest. How much have ever been there? That we've gone through the motions. It's easy to do. It's easy to get to. It really is. But when we get there, or when we realize we're there, what you do with that realization determines where you're going to go. Saul understood, but he refused to change. He was more worried about putting on a show than he was about getting right with God. And I hope that doesn't describe anybody in this place this morning. That you're more worried about people seeing you as being religious as you are about truly pursuing the heart of God. Because unless you're pursuing His heart, everything else you're doing is in vain. Pastor, how do you know? That's what this verse behind me says. Well, how can they do these miracles? Because there's power in the name of Jesus. Did you hear me? There's power in the name of Jesus. And honestly, it's not your faith, it's their faith in what you're speaking over them.
Yep, amen.
So how important is obedience? It's a matter of eternal life or death. Please don't be slow. Please don't be slow. Put on a form of godliness and denying the power thereof. Putting on just to wear you're 99.9% obedient because you know what? That 0.1% makes it all unauthorized. Did you hear me? It makes it all unauthorized. that God has set you up for success. He's laid it out there. Everything that you need, everything that you need is there. The question is, will you pursue His heart? That's what this whole thing's about. We're talking about pursuing His heart. Aligning your heart with His heart. This morning. Now listen to me very, very carefully. If you see any part of your life aligning up with what Saul was doing, I'm going to ask you this morning as we give this altar call, slip out from where you are and just begin to see God's face. Do not be like Saul. Be so worried about what people think that he didn't get to the place where he truly needed to repent before the Lord. Because he was more worried about what people thought than about getting right with God. About making sure that there's absolutely nothing between, as the song says, between my soul and the Savior. I don't want anything between my soul and the Savior. The only way we're going to get there is by giving Him a pure heart. So as we sing this song this morning, if God is speaking to your heart, the Holy Spirit is just pricking your soul, He just sort of just nudging, saying, I love you. Surely, yes, I have set you up for success, but you need to do it my way. You need to do it my way, because my way is the blessed way, not your way. If He's speaking to you, as we sing this song, will you slip out from where you are and just begin to say, Lord, here I am. I'm presenting myself to you fresh. And here's the thing. Don't worry about the people around you, because I'm telling you, I want you to be where you're supposed to be with God. I want you to be pursuing His heart the way you're supposed to be. I want everything okay between you and the Lord. But I know the only way you're going to get there is with a pure heart. Maybe you have to touch your heart again. To stir something fresh and new within you again. Where you say, a pure heart,